In this week's vlog, we're going to be taking you behind the scenes here at FORDY Runs. What is up, everybody, and welcome to a one-off special edition of the FORDY Runs weekly vlog. We are in the studio today and we're going to be taking you behind the scenes. We're going to be talking about the studio setup, the cameras, the editing software, the mics, the podcast stuff, the shoes, everything that we do here on this YouTube channel. I thought we'd try and condense it into one of the weekly vlogs and sort of take you behind the scenes. Because I get a lot of you guys asking me, what camera am I using? What selfie stick am I using? What thing am I using for this? What thing am I using for that? So I want to try and, just bring you into what we do. Full transparency is always on this channel. I don't really care. Maybe you're somebody who's looking to start a channel and you want a bit of information. But yeah, I'm going to bring you over the wall. We're going to take you behind the scenes into FORDY Runs. Okay, so look, bit of backstory. FORDY Runs, YouTube channel. We've got the podcast, award-winning podcast. We are the biggest running club in the UK as well. We've got like 40 clubs over the country. We do the virtual stuff. So we do a bit of everything. And our ethos is about inclusivity, everyday runner, making running available to everybody, no barrier to entry. Now we try and do that on this YouTube channel as well. We try and make it so it's relevant from an everyday runner's perspective. You see all the stuff that I go through in terms of the training, but also you see some of the shoe reviews, but from an everyday runner's perspective. Now I am a running coach, I am an athletics coach. I do coach people one-to-one around the world. I also do coaching on a group basis as well. So I feel like I'm qualified to talk about some of the stuff that I do as well. I also try and put some of that into some of the shoe reviews as well, if I can, where possible. But yeah, so that's the sort of quick, dirty background of FORDY Runs. Okay, so we're going to break this down. We're going to start off with the studio, and then we're going to go through the different parts of all the different cameras, studio, shoes, and all that kind of stuff. So sit back, get a cup of tea, and let's get stuck in. Okay, so the studio. Now I have a small space in which to work from. This is one of our bedrooms that I've converted into like an office/studio. Now I've spent years, I suppose, trying to find better ways to produce the content, make the content in this small space. Again, we don't have the money. We're not a media company or journalists or anything like that, so we don't have the money to pump into this sort of thing. So I try and use this space as best I can. Now this year we've had a bit of an overhaul. We've got a new desk, new unit in here. We've sort of mixed it around to try and create more of a better environment for me to film in. Now everything I'm going to talk about today that you can buy, I'm going to link in the description, right? That's from Amazon. All the stuff that I bought is from Amazon, and there's a link in the description. It's an affiliate link, by the way, just a heads up. So we earn like 1 penny for every 10,000 sold. But I wanted to link them, so if you're interested in any bits that I'm talking about, you can crack on and have a look yourself. So look, the most important thing I think when in the studio is sound and visual. I've always had problems with the lighting. I've really struggled with the lighting, so that's one thing I wanted to do with when we switched about the studio. I've got the 2 lights above me here. We've got the sort of main light which I can change and alter. We've got the side light here as well, which creates that nice blend, that nice balance for me. I've got 2 backlights, the 2 tube lights in there, which I can change the colours, and they're trying to create some depth behind me. So that's basically the setup. We then put the camera on the tripod. We'll come onto the cameras in a bit. We put the camera on a tripod right in front of me here. It's got a screen so I can see what I'm recording about. Right in front of me here, we changed the different settings to try and get the best feel and depth of the shot as well. But that's right in front of me here on the desk. And then that way I can put stuff underneath me if I need to, like some notes or things like that, if I need them for the video. Okay, elsewhere in the studio, we've got the Mac behind this camera. There's a big Mac. I've also over here got the MacBook as well, because we use the 2. And I think that's probably about it in terms of the studio. Okay, editing. So when it comes to editing these videos, I don't use anything fancy at all. I just use iMovie. That's why we've got the 2 Macs. I only use iMovie. I don't have any add-ons or anything like that. I don't try and get too clever with all that sort of stuff. I just use the stuff that I've got. We use copyright-free music. We use the stuff that's in iMovie to make the videos. For me, it's more about delivering the content. Try and make it as engaging as I can, but obviously a lot of stuff we do is shoe reviews. It's like to camera like this. So we try and do bits and best we can. I'm constantly learning, constantly looking for new cool things, but the editing software is just basic iMovie. We then use like Canva and some of the latest AI tools out there for like the thumbnails and some of the other bits that we do in terms of getting the videos ready to go out. But in general, again, it's all bog standard stuff. It's stuff that you can do at home. In terms of the videos, we have a schedule So I try and schedule Monday, Wednesday and Friday for videos, and they tend to be shoe related. The Friday we also have a live stream, which we do, and on a Monday. So we have 2 live streams that go out and we record them live as a podcast. They then go out and I'll come onto the podcast in just a bit. The main part of that filming is done in here. Obviously we do the filming outside as well for the shoe reviews. I'll come onto the cameras. But that's how the schedule sort of works. We also then have the short form content, which is usually repurposed content that we've used throughout the year. We use AI to chop that up and we put them out as shorts. Outside of that, we've got the weekly vlog, which I try and plan out. It's based loosely around my training, and then we have the races, and then we have the challenge videos and that kind of thing. Again, it's all kind of planned out, so I've got an idea of what we're doing already for 2024, but it's already planned out and we've got some ideas and that kind of thing. Okay, right, so cameras. Now, the first thing I would say to anybody, if you're watching this because you want to start a YouTube channel, use your phone, people. This is an iPhone 13 and it's awesome. It's amazing how much good stuff you get from your phone, and you can do it all. I mean, you can use CapCut and all the apps and things like that. It's very cool. Don't underestimate the power of your phone. Right, so I'm recording this on a Fujifilm X-T, I'm reading it 200. This is a 4K camera that is an SLR, I can change all the lenses, but I just have the bog standard lens on here. I have some manual settings to create some of that depth of field, but basically it is what it is. I don't want anything too complicated because I'm not a complicated person. And that's all we use for filming in the studio. That camera doesn't go out, it stays here in the studio. It's got an LCD on the side so I can see what I'm doing. I can check the lighting, the background, that sort of stuff. But basically that's here and it's on a tripod in front of me. I press record and off we go. In terms of the action cameras when we're out and about, so we've got the GoPros. We've got a GoPro, I think this is the 13, the latest version. No, it's the 12, 13's not out yet. But we've got that in a media mod, so we've got a microphone here. I've got a light that I'll shine that way, but we've got a light that goes on the top as well. But that goes pretty much everywhere with us, so if we're filming at races and stuff, I'm pretty much on that. Now in terms of the races, we use the Insta cameras. We've got the 1X2 here, I've also got the 1X3 underneath me. I tend to use for races, if I'm just doing no talking to camera, I'll use the X2. If I am going to be talking to camera, then I'll take the X3 because it has 4 microphones instead of this one. I think it only has 2, so the sound quality is a bit better, but this is the one that gives you that where it doesn't look like you've got a stick. Now the selfie sticks, we use the Insta360 ones, we use the GoPro ones, we've got the big 3-meter pole, we've got a variation of different ones. I have a smaller one that's fixed for the GoPros if I'm talking to that. We do have a mini tripod that we use usually on the GoPro 11, which is I usually give to somebody, let's say in the audience or who's watching in a race or something like that. Say for example my brother, he'll have the tripod so he can set that up as he needs it. The only other camera we really use is this one, the little Insta. This is I think the Insta Go, I think it's called. That's pretty cool bit of technology. If you saw the video we recently did with Ben, I shoved that on his chest and I sent him out. I could stick that on there, but it like records for 20 minutes. But it's a handy bit of kit, this one. It's really good for using in sort of different shots and circumstances. So they're all the cameras we use. Don't use anything out there. We don't use any drones or anything like that yet. Saying that said, we do have one coming. The other thing as well, on the shoe reviews, we usually use the Insta cameras to film the shoes as I'm running along. Okay, lastly, mics. I've got here a Rode mic. I've got one on top of the camera. We also have the DJI mics as well. We have one of those handheld ones, but these are sort of these remote ones that we can use. There's no wires or anything like that. They're pretty cool, but they are very expensive. Okay, so that brings us on to the podcast. Now the podcast is a big part of FORDY Runs and we've been blown away by the success of the long run show. And it is amazing how many people come up to us and talk about the show. It's just incredible. So I really appreciate all the love for our little podcast. So we record that twice a week. We do 2 live streams. You can tune in on a Monday, 8 o'clock UK time, and 7 o'clock on a Friday, and we record them and then we put them out as a podcast. Now again, we don't try and do anything fancy because we don't have the money. We're not a multimedia company with like 2 million quid injected from private equity. We're just some mates talking about running on a Friday night. So for me, when I do the podcast, I have the Rode mic set up on an arm. I'm talking to a Logitech 4K camera that I have on top of the Mac. Again, we use the same lighting setup. The lights have to be functionable for me to do everything. We stick the tube lighting on and all that sort of stuff. So the studio goes into full action ready for the podcast. We try and mirror the 2 sort of settings. But yeah, ultimately we go on a web hosting thing and we go on the Logitech camera up above me. We use the Rode mic. I've got some Sony headphones that I use when I'm on the train and stuff. And that's it. It's really nothing complicated. Yes, we could probably have, you know, all these buttons and things and, you know, all this sort of stuff. But, you know, we haven't got the money. We haven't got the time. As I said, we're just made to jump online and talk about running every Monday and Friday. So that's the podcast setup. Nothing complicated. Very simple as we go, people. Very, very simple. Right, and lastly, I think the other thing I wanted to touch on was more about the shoes. So let's wrap it up with the shoes. So I would say now on the channel, probably 90% of the shoes that we review are sent in to us. Now we get them from the brands themselves or via an agency. The UK works differently to like the US, but we get them sent in from those two places. We also get them sent in from our retail partners. Hopefully it's not new to you, but we work very closely with the guys at Start Fitness as well. So they come in, some come in before they're due out, like sort of when we go into that sort of that embargo state. Now what does that mean for? That means we can't talk about them. We can run in them, but we can't talk about them. Then they have a schedule date of when they can release, and we do that. But again, in the UK they're very much behind where they are in the US. That's why you'll see, like for example, the guys in Believe in the Run will come out with a video and then we won't do it for like a month because it's just really backward. But anyway, shoes come in, we review them. I've always said it, we try and do a minimum of 3 runs in a shoe and then put the video out. If I can, I'll get 20 miles in before we do that sort of first impressions as well, you know, and also try and get them for a full week of my running. Sometimes we'll come out with just like a first run, but that's usually if the shoe's hot and I want to get some views, so I'll just put that out pretty quickly. But in general, I try and avoid that. I don't really like doing that because again, I want to be transparent, I want to be open, I want to be honest and say, you know, this shoe's no good, this shoe's good because I've done X, Y, and Z in it. There's no point, for example, me just doing like 7K in a shoe. I don't think really I can add much value by talking about it after 7K. Now with the shoes, I'm coming from an everyday runner's perspective. I'm not fast, I'm not slow, I'm just like you. I'm trying to get better, I'm trying to get, you know, faster, I'm trying to get fitter and all that sort of stuff, and I like running shoes. I don't go into too much detail about the tech. Does it feel good? Yes. Does it make you feel awesome? Yes. Is the foam any good? Yes. Is the carbon plate good? Is the arch stick up? Yes. Is the outsole terrible? Yes. I'm going to tell you all of that. I'm also going to tell you if it's too expensive. I hate running shoes that are too expensive. Now you might say that's pot kettle for you because you haven't paid for it, and I totally appreciate that, but I sit back and go to myself, if I wasn't sent this shoe, would I actually pay for this? And I think that's fair enough, right? Now we have shoes all over this house. Mrs. Full goes up the wall. We've got some shoes in there, in that wardrobe behind me. We've got shoes downstairs in the cupboard. There's some shoes in the utility. There's some shoes in the shed. There's a big rack in the garage. They're on top of the freezer. They're everywhere. But that's pretty much where we are with the shoes. So obviously we're shoe centric, but the channel is much more than that. The channel for me is a way of showing some of the fun stuff we do, the cool stuff that the club does, the races, the events, the challenge videos. The shoes are awesome because I like running shoes, but it sort of makes up everything around the FORDY Runs YouTube channel. We've got a podcast, like I said, but don't forget, people, we are more than a YouTube channel and a podcast and a running influencer, if that's what you want to call it. We're the biggest club in the country in the UK, and we're all about the runners individually and collectively coming together and working together and being part of our family, our community. That's what FORDY Runs is all about, and I'm a small part of that chain. So, you know, we're a little bit more than just a YouTube channel. So if you're interested to know more, head over to fordyruns.com. If you've not checked out the podcast, say listen to it. It's called The Long Run. It's on all your podcast platforms. If you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel because you can't stand me, I appreciate that. Don't subscribe, you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. And that's probably a good way to finish it, people. So thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I thought it'd be useful at the front end of the year to do this sort of behind the scenes. We've got a big year at FORDY Runs, but I thought it'd be cool to do something a little bit different at this time of the year. Right, that's it guys. Thanks very much. I'll catch you later.